Hey, witches. Okay, so we have a new moon in the sign of Aquarius, hitting its peak on Wednesday this week. So it's going to be there tomorrow, Tuesday, but we're really going to feel it on Wednesday. And then for the next couple days after that, as we move into Imbolc. Um, so, new moon rituals. How do you work with the new moon? I know that everyone says like new moon is when you manifest. It's a time for manifestation. And yes, I think that's correct. That has merit. I manifest a little bit on a new moon. This one is going to be in close proximity to Jupiter. So that's going to bring in maybe some abundance. So I'm not saying don't, but there are other ways to work with new moons. This is the dark moon. This is when we are invited into the darkness, into the shadows. And this is when we're really being asked to transform ourselves. So if you think about the new moon as like a clean slate, it can be a jumping off point. It can be like, okay, I've cleared all of this stuff away, and now I want to bring in these desires. But it could also be that like the dark is inviting you in to sit with it and to sit with your shadows. So it's an opportune time for shadow work. And we're in Aquarius season now. This is the new moon in Aquarius. Aquarius has a lot of themes around innovation, the collective, and also being like individualistic. So it's almost this like, how do I, as an individual, support the collective? How do I, as an individual, use my innovative gifts and my creativity and my wisdom, my knowledge to serve the collective, to serve the community? With Aquarius, because it's ruled by both Saturn and Uranus, there are also big themes about power. And we are like our second week into this new administration. They're using a lot of fear tactics. Our current president is on the warpath and he is seeking to basically shock and terrify people into being obedient. And we are not going to let this scare us, right? Pluto's in Aquarius. We have a new moon in Aquarius. I have a stellium in Aquarius, so I feel lit up, tired, but lit up. Um, so I think this is a great time to come back to the self and think about the power dynamics that are at play in your life. Is there anyone, it may be a person, a group, or an organization that has power over you? How does that feel? What does that look like? How does that take shape in your life? What can you do to um, get out from under that power, or what can we kind of do to take our own power back within our personal lives? Like, what do you want to get unstuck from? What have you had enough of? When we begin to recognize the systems of oppression that could be playing out in, at our workplace and among our friends and our relationships, when we start to acknowledge them and see them, that's the beginning of when they basically loosen their power, right? Like that's when you can start shaking them off. The biggest threat to um, people seeking dominion over us is us realizing that it's even happening, because when we are frantic, when we're a mess, when we're, all up in our heads and scared, like we are more easily exploited. Um, so thinking about what's going on in the collective now, how can we bring that back to us and recognize these patterns within our personal life? So that's a great opportunity for some shadow work there. Um, and when we heal ourselves on an individual level, our energy changes, the way that we move through the world changes, and we can spark healing in other people as well. Um, So, supportive herbs that you can work with on this new moon. Valerian root. Valerian root is a really, really beautiful herb. It's extremely protective, and it's been used for centuries to bring us closer to spirits, bring us closer to deities. So it's been used as an offering for deities. Um, but it also brings us closer in alignment to our highest self. So, us, our soul on a soul level. So, working with that higher consciousness. And then, medicinally speaking, it's a pain reliever, it's a wound healer. It promotes, or it's used as a sleep aid. It calms the nerves. It's good for anxiety. I've heard other herbalists call it or refer to it as nature's Valium or nature's Xanax. I have tinctures of valerian root and I do take them, but I have to be honest, if you're going to take valerian root, take it in capsule because it is one. People say use the word bitter, and I think that's being nice. It tastes like dog crap. Not that I've tasted it. Not that I've tasted dog crap. Kidding. Um, the next one that I would definitely recommend is comfrey. Comfrey leaf is super, super powerful. It's also known as knit bone because if you use it topically, it will actually, if you have a wound, it will knit that skin back together. Like it is an incredible, incredible medicinal herb. But it's also a communal herb. And what I mean by that is that it can be used for composting. It can be used to, if you make a tea of comfrey, you can actually give it to your other plants, like use it in their watering because it's so nutrient dense. And comfrey is this like kind of skinny, like flowering plant, but and with like big green leaves. I'm sure you've seen it everywhere. It grows all around the U.S. Everybody thinks it's a weed. It's not a weed. Um, but it has really long root system, so it goes deep, deep, deep into the like deep layers of soil and brings water and nutrients up from that soil, and it's amazing for bees. Bees love it. So it supports pollinators. It supports other plants in the garden. You can use it to help grow other herbs. So it's a real community herb. And it promotes circulation. Like if you take it as a tea, and you can take it as a tea. It's beautiful. You can drink it too. Drink it with your plants. That's a beautiful practice. Um, but yeah, it promotes circulation and it's good for protection, good for boundaries. And then let's see, rosemary and skullcap are other great herbs to be working with for Aquarius. Aquarius is very in the head, it's an air sign. Always thinking, always innovating, like a lot happening up here in the crown chakra area. And rosemary and skullcaps are both beautiful nervines that help us kind of drop back into our bodies, ground, settles the nervous system, enhances cognitive function. So those are four supportive herbs. Aside from valerian root, which does taste like dog poo poo, you could take them as a tea together. You could make them into a bath. You could put them in a spell jar, whatever calls to you. You can like dip them in a candle, like an oiled candle, roll them in a candle, light that for the new moon. However it calls for you, however it calls to you, there's no wrong way to do it when you're working with these beautifully powerful, but also very gentle herbs. So that's what I've got for you today. The new moon is going to be pretty juicy this week. Rest up, take good care of yourself. We are still in winter time, Imbolc's around the corner, but you've got time to rest. So, manifestations, gratitude lists, shadow work. All right.